Hey, friends, welcome to another episode of the Power of Nine podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Eggert. My guest today fully encompasses a growth mindset. A true visionary, he has leaned into that role to create a culture of empowered team members that is evolving the customer experience in a pretty specific industry. I'm thrilled to share with you the journey of my friend, Jay Anderson. Jay, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I am so excited that I get to be the person that you have your first podcast with. And it's the first of many, I have a feeling, because once we get this under our belt, it's going to be smooth sailing moving forward.
All right. Well, I'm excited to have you being the first person to help me with this journey. So get me
All
started
right.
here. Oh,
I
good
love
deal.
it.
I
Very
think
good,
I'm a
man.
good, right? So
I like I said, it's gonna be two dudes having a conversation. It just happens to be on a Zoom call, and we've got a few people listening in. So I think we're at a few listeners now. All right, let's dig in a little bit because we have a lot to talk about, and you're a cool guy. Like I don't want to like jump into the future too much, but I knew you were a cool guy when you rolled up to my place when we had a Spark event at our place, and you had this sweet ass Jeep. And it's all kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say tricked out, but then you had mountain bikes on the top, and that's going to like, I'm giving a little bit of a glimpse into like your personality and the things you like to do and how driven you are and stuff like that. But I don't know, that thing was pretty sweet. So everyone was wondering, we had a couple hundred people at our house, and everyone was wondering whose sweet Jeep that is. And it just happened to be yours.
yeah, I forget that thing's a little bit of a magnet. When I bought it, I had no intention of putting company name or lettering on it. It was just me, my vehicle. And
Yeah.
happened to go out and did some prospecting training with one of my reps. And we literally got chased. That was before it was decked out. We literally got chased down in warehouse parking lots wanting to know what it was. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that happened twice. I'm like, yeah, I'll put the company name on it. It'll be worth it.
Heck yeah.
Um,
That's, that's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
did a
guess
great job with that thing.
yeah, I guess just to add to that, while I enjoy it, it's kind of like I joke around and say it's a Barbie doll for guys, right? Or
Yeah.
adventurous, but I guess I'm more into adventures and creating memories and things. And it might not
Yeah.
appear that way. You look at that Jeep and the mountain bikes are pretty nice stuff, right? But that helps me create memories, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd rather you can't take anything with you. So
Yeah.
create some memories and some friendships and go from there, right? So
Yep. That's just stuff, right? And it just helps you get to where you want to go.
right.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's dig in. So you grew up in farm country. So you grew up on a farm, and if I am correct here, it's in Ellsworth, Wisconsin. Like, isn't that the cheese curd capital of the world?
Yeah, that it is. That it is. And when I grew up there, it wasn't really known as that at the time, but I remember going on a tour of the creamery as a elementary age, like fourth grade or something, right? And
Yeah.
if you tasted one of the cheese curds raw before it went through the processing, you'd never eat another one. And I had that experience. I mean, shouldn't eat another one, but you would realize it's a seasoning that does it, right? And added
Yeah.
salt and stuff. But yeah, we went through a tour and they literally gave us, the guy reached in and grabbed some right off the line and said, here, try these. And that was a pretty bad taste, but it's a great product they spit out. And
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I grew up 4 miles from that creamery actually that kind of made it famous. So
Yeah. So, it's fascinating to me how many people that we have on this podcast. I think we're at 50 some episodes, and a lot of people that we highlight are leaders and entrepreneurs, and much like yourself, and how many people came from a farm background and grew up on a farm, and, that work ethic side of things. But I think I've said this multiple times on this podcast. I think farmers are like the ultimate entrepreneurs, right? Because they both have to do the work and then balance the books and make sure that the farm is making money. And all of I mean, commodities are just insane, of like the timing of when to buy and sell and all that other stuff. So talk to me a little bit about your upbringing and the influence that growing up on a farm had on you at a young age.
sure, absolutely, Aaron. Yeah, you're 100% right when you say that farmer is the ultimate entrepreneur. And when I was growing up on the farm, I thought, there is no way I'm going to be a farmer. It's too much work, right? Then fast forward, how many ever years that I started my business, and I realized one day it hit me on a Saturday afternoon and I'm working away. It's like, I might as well have a farm. I'm doing the
Right.
same thing. It's just different kind of work. So, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, the cows need to be milked, the crops need to get done. It doesn't matter if you're sick, it just has to get done, right? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was fortunate that my parents were hard workers, but they were fair. They had high expectations, but yet they didn't didn't exclude anything from us. At least for me, they let me kind of do what I needed to do as a kid. But my dad it was a little unique in that it was a hobby farm. I say that, but I have to retract it quickly because it's not like it was. Well, it wasn't casual, right? If that makes sense, right? Like I said, the work had to get done. And my dad was actually a full-time mechanic in the Air Force. He worked on a C-130 cargo planes up in Minneapolis. Wow. It's the same runway they use, the backside of the runway as the commercial flights that people are familiar with. So if you see those big green ugly planes, that's what he worked on. They still fly them today. So he was a full-time, Air Force employee up there. And then he ran the farm on top of it. So you can imagine, wow, his work. I think the guy worked 20 hours a day back in the day. I really do. Wow. And then mom was instrumental too. She was always shooting out cows in the morning. Dad would do it when he got home. He'd get home at 5 o'clock every day. He'd milk cows, when he got home after work. And then we just kept going around the clock,
Wow.
But yeah, it was quite the experience for sure.
So maybe your definition of hobby farm and mine are a little different. I live on a hobby farm. I think
right.
Is a true hobby farm, right? Like at just under 10 acres, and I live in the middle of nowhere, out by Lester Prairie. I gotta believe that you had a little bit more than that. You had you're milking cows and stuff like that. So how many acres did your family run? And then talk about some of the cattle.
Sure. So the acreage varied a little bit. I think and that's kind of why I say as a hobby farm, when it's all relative, right? They say don't compare yourself to others. It's a thief of joy, right? And not that it steals anything from us, but when I looked around at our neighbors, they always seemed like bigger farmers, right? They were full-time, had more land, had bigger equipment. But my parents only owned 60 acres there, I believe. They might have had some they sold, but I think it was 60. But there were some summers, and it fluctuated. There was some where we rented other land. And I was pretty young, so I would guess it was a couple hundred acres at times. That we would pull alfalfa hay. We do a lot of baling hay as well. So it was around a couple hundred acres, and then it was a big variety too. So I say we had cattle. We didn't have dairy cattle the whole time growing up. I want to say that was for 5 years, 4 or 5 years, and we had Jersey cattle, which are smaller because they fit in our barn. We had an older barn, and like I say, it was kind of older equipment. But a Holstein cow is longer, has a bigger wheelbase, right? And a Jersey cow is smaller, right? Well, they fit perfectly in our barn. So we would sell milk based on butterfat content, not on volume. I mean, volume mattered, but at the end of the day, it was kind of like gross profit, right? You got higher gross profit, but lower revenue, right? But it works out, right? So kind of a similar thing. But then what was really important was the cleanliness of the milk too, right? There was this called a somatic cell count. You had to keep that low. I remember all this stuff, right? So that was all critical. So that was like for 5 years. My mom was also big into horses, and she trained horses. So at one time we boarded horses, and I think the highest we ever had was like 28 horses at our farm. So I got tons of horse stories there too, and things we did with that. And I grew up on a horse kind of, and I'm sure I could hop on one and ride one today. It's a nice skill to have if it ever.
It's like riding a bike.
Well, there's apocalypse or something. There's a horse there. I can get around anyway, but I don't know. But so yeah, but horses, I mean, as a little guy, I remember going out and getting eggs from the chicken coop, and we had rabbits, and we'd have an occasional goat or two and harvest some goat milk and do stuff with the goats. And so there was a lot of variety there. I think the one steadfast thing over the years was baling hay, right? We'd never escaped that. And it was just laborious work, right? I mean, and it got to where I had a brother and sister 5 years older than me. And one 7 years older than me that lived there. And my brother and I spent a lot of time out baling hay in the field, and we'll send memes back and forth to each other now about the memories, charred up legs and everything else. It's 100 degrees, but we just had to get it done, right? Dad had to work that weekend, so we were out taking care of it. So yeah, it was just a lot of variety with that farm, and that was a really good experience. And it pushed me a little bit too into a program called 4-H, which is a great program. If any, I'll plug it a little bit because I just feel strongly about it. It really can help a child grow and give them some confidence. And I know I didn't show every animal at the fair, but I was darn close, because like I say, we had a variety of things. So I showed horses. I know I showed we had beef cattle for a while too. A few years I showed beef cattle. I know I showed a Jersey cow once, and chickens, and I think I had a goat up there once, and rabbits, and a cat one time. I took a cat to the show. Show a cat, why not? Right? So anything I could show, Yeah, I would do,
Yeah,
right? And
it was
you
like
know,
then you were like Noah's Ark of 4-H.
kind of, yeah, but I wasn't alone. I mean, that was just normal. I thought
Yeah,
every
right.
kid had animals, and I didn't know any better, right? You know, the town kids were kind of weird, but us country kids were all right, you know. So yeah.
So if you look back on that time of doing all that stuff, what was I'm going to use the word chore lightly here, but what was the chore that you absolutely hated to do, and then the one that you really enjoyed doing?
Hmm. Hated to do. I wasn't a chore, but it kind of fits into there. It's kind of a funny story. My brother would trick me when we'd check the electric fence. And you can just imagine how that ended, right? It ended poorly, right? So it was, oh, just grab it, you know. I'd cry and run to mom, you know, because he had 5 years on me, right? So not, I guess it was kind of a chore. It was a job, you know. Occasionally go out and check fence, and yeah, I'd end up into the fence half the time. So that wasn't a lot of fun. I didn't enjoy that electric fence.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'm sorry, the other part of the question, Aaron, you said
Yeah,
that I did enjoy.
what you like doing. Yeah, what is chore you love doing or liked.
Yeah, I would say I don't know why, but I think it was gathering the eggs from the chickens when I was really little because it was fulfilling. You had an empty
Yeah, right.
basket and you came back with a full basket. It was just kind of fulfilling, right? And then it was like
Yeah.
magic. You go out there the next day and they do it again, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So as we transition into you in let's call it high school and a little bit more age behind you. So I can see you being a big sports guy. Were you a good student?
When I applied myself, yes, I was a very good student if I tried.
Yeah.
But you know, I only tried half the time because I didn't enjoy half the stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
that's the truth. I mean, that's pretty much how it went down, you know.
So
So
did you put all your passion behind sports?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It doesn't surprise me for a bit. So I gotta imagine so I think sports has evolved a lot now with kids that are in high school now. Cause I think there was a time where it was like, hey, try everything, play everything, you know, do as much as you possibly can. Where now I think parents and I think even schools are trying to get kids to niche down a little bit and really stay focused. I don't have kids, so I can't comment on this. I just don't like that because I think variety is the spice of life, and you just don't know, you know, where it's going to take you until you get a little bit older and stuff. So, were you multi sports or did you just niche down?
No, I was multi-sports. I mean, I had my favorite, you know, wrestling was my favorite sport. Well, you know, I guess sixth, seventh grade, that kind of kicked. Baseball was when I was younger. I would ride my bike anywhere I had a free minute to find a baseball game and try to play in it, you know, or be in a little league. I love baseball.
Yeah.
And I still continue to love that, but wrestling became number one. But yeah, no, I was in four sports my senior year. I shouldn't not my senior every year in high school, right? And I would have done five or six if I could have, right? So yeah, we didn't have a lot of choices in a small rural school like that. You know, it was, you know, we had a golf team, which I wasn't on because it conflicted with track. Um, but no, I agree with you, Aaron, that, you know, unless the kid's a D1X, I've done some wrestling coaching, you know, I'm a little removed a few years, but unless, you know, a child has some D1 potential or Olympic or professional level, what's the point of pushing them? It's just an experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, I guess, that as I get older, I think about looking back, and I don't have any regrets, right? Because you do what you do at the time and
Yeah.
stick by your decision. But like golf is a good example. We had a pretty decent golf program, and actually, the wrestling coach was a golf coach, so I would have enjoyed it. But I kind of wish I would have played golf because that's something you
Mm-hmm.
can carry on your entire life, right? You know, I don't see too many 50-year-olds out there wrestling. I mean, it's few and far between. You know, break like a sheet of glass, right? You
Right.
know,
Right. Yeah.
right. But there are some sports and things people can do that can become a lifelong, you know, adventure, and why not do that? So
Yeah. And you and I are in lockstep on that. Like I started playing golf when I was in my early 20s, and man, you
mhm,
know, I wish I would have done that a little earlier on. It would have expedited some things. And you know,
mhm,
it's so transcendent in just in life because the relationships that you build on a golf course are so good, and you know, it's good for business, obviously, and that kind of stuff, right? But I'm with you. So then
mhm.
did you wrestle beyond high school, or did you just wrap it up after high school?
Yeah, no, I was quite frankly, I was tired and done after high school, at least for a few years, right? Then I got back
Yeah.
into things. But I think with wrestling, the mistake I made, which a lot of people would say is, you know, just the cutting weight was out of hand.
Hmm.
It was ridiculous. You're going through growth spurts, and it just shouldn't be that way, but that's the way it was. So that became a overriding factor of, you know, I love wrestling, I love competition, I love the challenge of it, but I can't say I hated losing weight or cutting weight, but it was definitely a big distraction, and no doubt it hurt my career more than it helped me,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. All right, so let's dig into the college stuff. You and I are cut from the same cloth when it comes to that. I lasted a couple months. How long did you spend in college?
I probably went for a couple months, but it was over a course of a year and a half. So I mean, no, my first year was solid. I mean, I passed classes, I did everything the first year, and then it got a little more serious. I had to kind of pick a path. I had a few ideas, and just nothing stuck, right? And
Yeah.
I knew in the back of my head I wanted to have a business, right? I had ideas. I had a part-time job at the time, working at a local towing company and auto repair, and they had a salvage yard there. And I thought, this is right up my alley. I love working on things and turning wrenches and fix it. The gratification of fixing something always felt good, and the smile on somebody's face and you got their car going. If it was a jump start from a tow truck or whatever, or pulling them out of the ditch, I enjoyed that. So maybe I'll have a towing company someday, because that's all I do. And so I wanted to do that, but I really didn't know the path.
Yeah.
I didn't know the path, and I think had I known that, it might have been a different outcome. But then again, I would have struggled relating those classes to the real world.
Yep.
So that was a challenge for me.
You got to kind of go. I always call it the school of hard knocks, right? Like I think I spent
Mhm.
about 10 years in the school of hard knocks. I felt like I didn't even start maturing until I was 22. And then I started to get business maybe when I was in my, 26, 27, 28. And so I think it just takes time, and everyone's got a different spot in their journey. It just, you got to, you got to hit it right.
Exactly. Yeah. For me, I don't know that I really started capturing business ideas until my, late 20s, early 30s, even. I mean,
Mhm.
I understood. I think I had a basic understanding of, uh, at the time we never called it the customer experience, but that's what we refer to it today as. We didn't define it as such, but just how do you make them feel, right? Like I
Right.
said, I could tell that when somebody smiled or appreciated you, you're doing something for them. That's a win-win then. So.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to listen to a few of our community supporters. We're going to come right back. And then I want to start talking about your career journey, because you have an interesting one, and then it leads to what you're doing now, because you've been doing the same thing for a while. So let's take a quick break here, and then we're going to be back with Jay Anderson. The topic of talent is hot in organizations of any size, and I would argue none more than small to mid-sized businesses. That's why it's crucial to have a partner to help you navigate all the HR idiosyncrasies so you can focus on working on your business and not in it. Insperity is a full-service HR partner with a high-touch, high-tech platform helping owners work through challenges like employee retention, company culture, and benefits, just to name a few. Do yourself a favor and explore all they have to offer at Insperity.com. Insperity, HR that makes a difference. Regardless if you're a startup just figuring things out or a medium-sized organization with a full team, having a legal partner by your side is crucial. Seiler Law is fiercely loyal to their clients and are passionate about removing headaches and roadblocks that can pop up during the growth of your business. Whether you need general outside counsel, are planning a business transaction, or even need someone to guide you through the estate planning process, the team at Seiler Law are the advocates for you. Visit SeilerLaw.com to learn more. Seiler Law, where experience meets pragmatism. For more than 20 years, Kaisa has been the trusted financial advisor for women, business owners, executives, and high net worth families, developing financial plans designed to meet them where they are and propel them to where they want to be. Their mission is to remove the worry and stress associated with financial planning and replace it with clarity and confidence. The Kaisa team takes the time to understand each client's unique situation, from financial concerns to the visions that they have for current and future generations, in order to create a truly customized plan. Through consistent communication and personal attentiveness, Kaisa is fiercely devoted to personal well-being and financial prosperity. Get to know the Kaisa team and how they can serve you at KaisaWealth.com. Every year brings new challenges for Minnesota business leaders, and USI Insurance is here to take the pressure off of the employee benefits decision. Having a local presence with national resources, USI combines a client-centric culture with leading-edge technical resources so you can make an informed decision on your benefits investment. The USI team has been deeply committed to investing into our local communities and utilizes their expertise to provide solutions you can count on to protect your greatest asset, your employees. USI has been partnering with Twin Cities businesses for decades, and they would welcome the opportunity to do the same for you. Visit USI.com to learn how USI's approach to risk management and employee benefits delivers customized, actionable solutions with bottom-line impact. All right, everybody needs a bank. Not just any bank, a good community bank.
From personal needs like checking and savings accounts to business services like financing and M&A support, the team at Flagship Bank is there to provide you with the assistance you need so you can spend less time thinking about your finances and more time enjoying what your money can do for you. To learn more, head over to Flagship Banks, that's flagshipbanks with an S.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Flagship Bank, investing in you.
All right, we're back with Jay, and I'm excited to talk about this. So what was your first, like, let's go back to that, in business, I'm using air quotes here. Like, what was your first real job in business?
Well, my first real job was way back in high school because we had sold the cattle and I detasseled corn. I lasted, I think, 3 days. I just wasn't a good corn detasseler. But if I fast forward that and answer that for my current career, I worked as I was hired not as a millwright or a service technician at a company in Milwaukee called Paul Riley Company. Really through a friend, kind of friend of a friend, and a friend got me in there. And it was a really, really great experience. They lack some formal training programs and processes and all the things now I understand are important, but they kind of overwhelmed it with culture, right? And almost unintentionally, I don't know, which is odd, right? Usually there's an intentional driver behind that, but it was just a good group of guys. I really enjoyed working with the other service technicians. I think I was in awe. I know I was in awe of a few of them for sure, because they had some incredible talents and their mechanical aptitude was through the roof. I always joked, there was one gentleman I worked with, his name was Gil. Gil would not be a great employee, okay, because he would kind of do what Gil wanted to do. But if a UFO crashed outside right now and I was employed to fix it, I'd call Gil because I kind of think he might figure it out. I mean, the guy was amazing. The stuff and what I learned from him, and I learned from a few other gentlemen that were really around in the late 50s and early 60s, believe it or not, they were ready to retire. They'd been in this career for 40, 50, they'd been there forever, right? And they were ready to retire, and the knowledge they had. Another gentleman had worked at a manufacturer as a machinist and grew tired of that and decided to become a service technician. He knew every theory and things that how a dock lever is supposed to work. And those are things that just aren't taught anymore. And it sounds simple, but if you understand that, you can apply that to making repairs that are, on the edge of your wheelhouse a lot more efficiently and correctly, right?
Do you think that, so now, you look at where you're at now and you look at then, and you made the comment that, they didn't have good process procedures and training and some of that stuff, but I think equally as important in an organization like that. And I actually think, when you're younger, tribal knowledge and the ability to share tribal knowledge sometimes in an unstructured way can be really powerful. And it sounds to me like that was almost the way that they trained you, was that it was, again, using the phrase school of hard knocks, but it was like they would bring you in. And if you could get under the wing of a couple of these guys that have been doing it for a while, and, Gil, who can pretty much fix anything, including a UFO, that's tribal knowledge. That's super valuable rather than some bullshit training manual.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think one thing that, I'd credit myself with is I felt I always had the ability to pull the good things from people and kind of, put an asterisk by the bad things and say, yeah, Gil's a great employee. Look at his knowledge. And he was pretty good with customers, but his work attitude, his willingness to do jobs that weren't challenging enough, because the guy needed to be challenged. You give him something simple, he didn't want to do it, he'd buck you back, right? He didn't want to do basic installs. Anybody can do that, So, and there was other technicians too, not just him, but that had some great qualities, and they had some poor ones too. So to be able to separate those, I felt helped me a lot. So,
did you feel that role there and that company in general, was that a little bit of a slingshot for you? Did they give you the opportunities to grow within that company, and how long did you spend there?
Yeah, actually, they really did. They were really positive about that. I worked there for just right around 8 years or so. And like I said, I started as a technician. I was green. I knew very little. Within a year and a half or so, I want to say it was, they relocated me out to La Crosse, Wisconsin to set up an office out there, which was me in a nice big service truck and a pull shed, but that's fine. That qualified, right? It took care of customers out there, right? We couldn't commute effectively to Eau Claire and La Crosse, and I got to Rochester, Winona from Milwaukee. It wasn't feasible. And we expanded the business out there a lot, but I did have some plans at the time, kind of a handshake agreement. I was eventually going to move into sales and take over the sales role from a gentleman who was, retirement in the next few years, and he was based out of Eau Claire. So that would have been a nice transition because it would have been same account, same people I'm dealing with, but in a different role. But then the company went up for sale, and then of course that disrupted everything, and there was no guarantees after that. So, and that was when I decided to move on. Then is when that company got actually when they got sold. I shouldn't say put up for sale, but when they were actually sold. So,
Yeah. What'd you end up doing then?
so then I took an opportunity. I relocated up to Minneapolis, and I took an opportunity at a door company there, overhead door company out of Egan, over to Northland. Great people. They were looking for someone to start a loading dock division for them because I had the background knowledge on that commercial heavy industrial side for specialty doors, high-speed doors, and the loading docks. And they didn't quite have that. They had a lot of sectional doors, which is like the door in your home, and they did a lot of residential work. But the challenge I found is like I say, great people. They just didn't have a great focus and plan. They were kind of going in every direction. You just don't get enough traction, right? You just kind of spin your wheels in all areas. So that was a sales role, and really a diluted sales role because I was expected to train technicians, and that's a full-time job in itself. So it was really going nowhere fast. So then I left there after 6 months.
What happened then?
So then, I ended up over at Puglisa, which is no longer exists. They were actually sold recently to a manufacturer. But I worked there for 4 years as their operations manager. And that was a great experience because while the technicians were different than the ones at Paul Riley, I had some great mechanics working for me now. So the gentleman who hired me, he kind of took a chance on me being young, but it paid off. It was a great experience for me. And really, that's where I think the growth really took off. When I had a mentor like that working with me. I got involved in a lot more sales things as an ops role because you really in an industry like ours, a company like ours too, with Dock and Door Tech even in there, in order to be successful, you need that collaboration with your sales and service and everybody, of course, but really sales and service when it comes to taking care of that client. If they're not on the same page and working things in the same direction, it can get pretty messy pretty fast. So there was a lot of that. We had a lot of collaboration, and that was a great experience as well.
Yeah, and that was your first real, like, kind of true foray into leadership. Was there, looking back on that time, is there a lesson that you always go back on and say, man, that was, I'm never going to forget that when that happened, or boy, that was a valuable lesson I learned that you still apply today?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Kind of a failure thing. I think I failed to earn the trust of some key people there. In my department that reported to me. There was a wonderful lady that worked there. Her title didn't do it justice. She really ran the department, not from a managerial standpoint, but keeping all the paperwork together and everything else. And when we worked well together, it wasn't that we had a good relationship, but there was so much more that could have been built. But I didn't have that experience and know how to nurture her, and partner with her more, right? So I didn't understand quite the full partnership process, and I was more of a task delegator and didn't quite grasp that at the time. So that's a big learning, a big takeaway from that.
Did you transition from that company then to start the business you have now?
Correct. Yeah, I was let go. My position was eliminated, and I went into the meeting thinking we were going to have a discussion about me moving over to sales because, I had, just grown a point in the service role and ops manager role. And I actually had this big plan laid out of a transition to promote, one of the gentlemen that worked for me into that role, and a split time I could coach him and do sales. And so I sat down, all smiles with the owner, and actually the sales manager was in there as well. And I thought I had his support, but it didn't matter. The owner said, well, this has taken a different turn. He says, effective immediately, you're no longer employed here, and we've eliminated your position. And I thought, well, this isn't how I wanted this to go.
Right.
But in hindsight, the company was sold shortly after to the new owner who sold it recently again and retired. So it was really kind of expected. In hindsight, I can see it 100%, but I didn't see it at the time. Right. So
right. Yeah.
So yeah, I had
let's dig into that. So I always talk about how my aha moment when I had this premonition around what I wanted to create with Coalition9. Well, all of a sudden, you're slapped in the face with a I'm going to even call it like a layoff, right? So position elimination. Talk about this time of like that that manifestation of what you wanted to create on your own?
Yeah. So I had, as in my role in the operations manager role, I dealt with a lot of actually I dealt with all the problems that came in. Right now, salesmen would see me, hey, I got an issue with this with the general contractor. I got a client complaint on an invoice. All invoice complaints came to me. So that was a bulk of my time, was handling complaint and problem invoices. Questions on billing. Some were simple, but a lot were complicated and a lot were justified. And we could have done a lot better job in that area. So that was something I took with me, in the drive home from that unfortunate meeting I had. And I was actually very fortunate. I'm glad it happened, of course. It took me about 45 minutes to figure out, I'm going to start my own company, because I did check around with a few opportunities I knew were out there, and nothing was a great fit. So I said, I'll just get going on my own. But yeah, taking and applying that, go back to that customer experience, and we still didn't call it customer experience back then, right? It was just, let's cut down our number of complaints and have some happy customers, was the thought. I really wanted to apply that to my business.
So then what did you want to do? So was that what this was built on, was just creating a second to none customer experience and just taking all the things and all the experiences that you've had to just do it better than everybody else? You're going to be that disruptor.
Yeah, that was a thought process for sure. And it still holds true today. There was a bit of limited competition too, because of the loading dock industry side. Now, doors, there's 200 companies in the metro market here that do doors, but most of them are residential or dabble in commercial, so they can't do the heavy industrial. And I had all the training on that and the ability to do that. So yeah, it definitely applies there, and that niche industry really, really helps. Like you mentioned at the onset of the start of our interview here, our discussion today, that it is a niche industry, so that gave me some advantage right out of the gate too, that it wasn't a flooded market. So
what was the period from when you started the business and, let's say you got your first customer to when you hired your first person?
Part-time was pretty short. I hired someone to do some paperwork and filing, but that's a little different. I didn't hire a technician probably for close to 2 years, a year and a half. And that's the one thing I would have accelerated in hindsight, but I just didn't know that at the time. I didn't quite understand risk and cash flow as well. And, because that was all new to me, really. I was learning as I went, and I didn't have really an advisor at that point. I was just kind of on my own, just figuring things out and researching and reading on my own and on how to do these things. And it wasn't until I actually joined a peer group, and I got in with another group of business, I realized, and I was, not that it matters, but I was pretty small in the room compared to the guys in there. But it was an eye-opening experience that, hey, I can do things a lot differently, and I can really, really grow my business here. So yeah, it did take close to 2 years to do that. And then, really it's been adding a couple employees a year. You could look at it that way, up to where we're at now.
So let's talk about two things I want to touch on is where are you at from, from a size standpoint, from amount of people, and let's keep it. I don't want to talk about revenue or anything like that. That's none of our business. Let's talk about like techs in the field.
Sure. So right now we have 9 technicians actively working in the field on a daily basis. One's a lead, so he's, part-time in the field, but he shifts where he's needed between office and that, a lead role and a foreman role and training and whatnot. So yeah, 9. And really we're at a point right now where we're adding some more support in the office and in sales. We definitely have a need for more technicians. Nice thing is we got a couple trucks sitting there ready to go. So we're ahead of the curve there a little bit with that. So yeah, we should probably have 11 or 12 technicians in the field right now, but we're at 9. And then that's once we make a few more key hires in the office, which we're deep in the process of, and making offers. And I think offers are going on right now as we speak in a different somewhere, right? So that's all good. So yeah, so we're just continuing to grow. Employee-wise, right now we're sitting at 25, but we're actually hiring 2, 3. We have 3 open positions right now that we've created, that we're increasing sales force and actually sales support, and then in the finance department too. So,
all right. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't give you the opportunity to even say what you do. Like I feel like we're kind of like holding off on the whole touchdown call here. So I've been kind of waiting on this, but so what does your company do? We haven't even said the name of the company. I'm going to let you say. So tell us the name of your company and then exactly what you guys do.
Sure. So name of the company is Dock and Door Tech. We're based, our office is out of Elk River, Minnesota. Our geographical area we cover includes all of Minnesota, and we touch the Dakotas, northern Iowa. We do have remote technicians out there as well. One in La Crosse, Wisconsin, one in Pine Island, Minnesota, down by Rochester, one over in Osceola, Wisconsin, and one out of Hastings. So we've got 4 of those 9 are remote, and then 5 work out of our office. So that's nice. It gives us that coverage to where our clients are. Everything we do is mobile. And one of our messages or key points is we want a technician within 90 miles of our key clients. What we do for those clients is we do break fix repair, maintenance, and projects around loading dock equipment and industrial commercial doors. So it is a very niche business. I mentioned the doors. There's a lot of people, a lot of companies that do doors. But when you get into the heavy and industrial and specialty, like a cooler freezer, a clean room, some various odd type doors, and especially in remodels when you're dealing with an existing footprint, and that's where it gets really challenging. So we have a large quantity of manufacturers and quality manufacturers we work with to be able to solve those challenges and issues for our clients. In the loading dock it gets pretty involved. Anything in your office there, anything you see behind us probably went on a pallet somewhere, maybe a container, right? If it comes from overseas, and ends up crossing a loading dock somewhere. So it's kind of a hidden gem in the supply chain. And, people talk about sustainability of their industry. And I always tell people, I'm in a recession-proof industry. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and we don't have layoffs. I mean, we just don't. Maybe it slows down a little. We get peaks and valleys like everybody. But if the loading dock industry fails or isn't going, you better have a hobby farm like you do, Aaron, and know how to plant a seed and harvest it. Because literally, I mean, it is a key foundational thing in our society. And without it, we can't function, but yet nobody seems to know what it is or what it does. So there's a lot of that out there. There's a lot of that.
Yeah. I mean, you drive by, my cousin runs the loading docks for Miller Coors. And I mean, I bet you there's 150 of those things. And think about the stuff that goes, even, one of our members is with Lube Tech. And, you look at all those doors with Lube Tech, and it's like, holy smokes, that is just there's a lot of, one of those things goes down, there's a lot of profitability on hold.
Absolutely. Yeah, it can really bottleneck a client up. There's that side of it, the efficiency and the flow of product to take care of their clients. The other thing too, that's really a focal point for me is the safety around that area. Having worked with technicians that have been seriously injured is no fun. Thankfully, I've never witnessed that, but I've been called out after there was, say, an accident. A forklift ended up going off a dock and somebody perished, or somebody was, I want to do my part to prevent all that stuff from happening. It can't right now. Yeah, it costs the company some money to do that. They need to invest in the right equipment, have the proper training, have the right processes. But I think every business owner I've met out there, and manager and executive level out there, wants that for their people. They just may not know they need that for their people. So
yeah. So, as I've gotten to know you over the last couple of years, a big part of your personal journey is taking and evolving your role. And I alluded to the term visionary, which is, can be pulled one way or another. But at the end of the day, like, your role as the CEO and the owner, and then empowering your team, which I also alluded to in the opening. So how has your role specifically evolved over the last few years as you move now into the future?
Sure. No, that's a great topic for sure, Aaron. I obviously I've done everything in the company, right? And I don't want to do everything in the company. I've been able to detach from that, and I think that's a challenge a lot of entrepreneurs have. They don't want to trust, well, somebody's not going to do it as well as I did it, right? And I hear that from some other friends I have that are in business, and well, they haven't grown in 5 or 6 years. They've capped out at whatever their cap is in their industry. But so that, I will admit, that's a challenge for me. I do want to make sure that client experience is excellent and that we're taking care of them. But how that's done can definitely be up for interpretation and some discussion, right? So but yeah, it's just an ongoing challenge to kind of get into that visionary role, understand delegation, and of course, delegation by responsibility, not just task, right? And that's really what I'm after. And we are an EOS company, so we utilize that a lot, and that's been very beneficial. In the last few years, we started EOS 3 years ago. Step one was to get a leadership team in place. I felt I always wanted to do EOS going back many years, but just weren't quite there yet size wise. Once that leadership team was in place, things started accelerating, of course. And then I did hire a VP integrator, Jackie. Jackie's fantastic. She's been with me just over a year. And now I can really see, they say that takes 12 to 18 months to really kick in. And I can see it just starting to kick in now, with the new hires and changes we've had, within the organizational structure to start, and then expand that outward.
Cool. What do you see then now as that's good. You're doing EOS. So that means you've got, your VTO and all that stuff established. And I don't want to make this a commercial about EOS, but it's a good operating system, and there's a bunch of them out there. But so where do you see yourself, and where do you see the company going the next few years?
I think we have, tremendous opportunity for growth. And of course, we're challenged like everyone else is to find great people, but I think we find the great people. I'm confident we can do that. The sky's really the limit, just with some changes and turmoil we've had in our market with our competition. That always affects things a little bit. Plus, we're set up a little differently. A lot of our competition are contractually obligated to their manufacturer they represent. So they're limited in the territories they can cover. I have no limits. I got a couple of contracts, but it doesn't limit any geographical expansion. So that gives me the ability to move into other markets as well. So I just see us having definitely a lot of growth here, in our market, but also expanding outward. So.
Yeah. And how about your role? So as you're starting to let go of a little bit more and empowering Jackie and obviously the rest of the team, you've got a leadership team that works with you. Where do you see yourself going?
So I think a couple of things. I really want to add value back into my employees, and whether that's, industry knowledge or managerial knowledge or helping with delegation or whatever that is, I really want to help my employees grow, because I believe if they grow, the company grows. So it is self-fulfilling, but I do take a lot of joy out of seeing somebody develop and move. And we've been able to do that. We've had a couple instances where someone has moved up, in the company, whether that's by title or just more responsibility or moving in that direction. And that actually excites me. I enjoy that. And I think about that in my morning coffee before I go to the office. And I'm like, hey, this is great. Someone's evolving today. Someone's getting better today. And that's one of our core values, is better every day. And that fits in for both personally and within the company.
Yeah. Do you, so tell me a little bit about your family, and then two-part question. Tell me a little bit about your family, and then what do you like to do for fun?
Sure. You bet. I've got a couple of wonderful children. I got a 17-year-old daughter. She's in high school. I got to watch her spring choir concert last night. She's got a beautiful voice. She just got back from a trip to Ireland where she was performing. That's great. She's off to college this fall. Where remains to be seen, but could be local, could be Colorado, which I like that. I could go to Colorado. I've got a 19-year-old son. He'll actually be 20 on the 2nd, so just a few days away. So that's exciting. He's doing great. He's kind of figuring out his path in life, but he will. He's a street smart kid and a good-looking kid, so he'll do very well. He appreciates and gets people. And then I got to mention my dad. He's 86, and what I love about my dad is he's a competitor. He competes in senior track and field events. And I heard of one, actually. I was out there. I'll skip that whole part of it. It ties into what I do. So I do mountain biking. I do ultra mountain bike races. I love it. It's a lot like the grind of a business, right? Or a grind of running a farm or something, when I kind of look at it big picture. I love the challenge. Of course, I want to get faster. I'm a rookie. I've only been doing it a couple of years, and I'm competing against some, bikers that have been out there for 20 years doing it. But the nice thing is I'm still on that trajectory of improvement, and I think they're flat or maybe declining a little, right? So So I hope, my goal is to get on a podium in one of these in a competitive race, and I'm inching towards that, I should say. But back to my dad. I'm excited. We're going out to the Huntsman's Games. It's a seniors only event, so it's age 50 and up, which I am over 50. So I signed up for a couple track and field events that I have to start over on. I haven't done this stuff since high school. And my dad, he signed up for the shot put, the discus, the long jump and the standing long jump at 86. So I'm pretty proud of him. And he trains. He trains
Oh,
5 days a week for this stuff. He practices his throws and does his weightlifting. He's a regular over at the River Falls College. If you go over there, you'll probably see him in the weight room.
that's
So
epic.
or out on the
That is-
track. Yeah.
That is so great. What man, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree here either, because you can see the drive, obviously, that you and your dad both share. But boy, what a great thing to share with each other is, and kind of bounce ideas off of each other, and train, if you want, train together, but be able to experience that together, and having him be 86. Are you freaking kidding me? That is amazing.
Yeah. I pray that at 86, I'm that agile, mobile, be able to do those things. I mean,
Right.
so that's
Yeah.
something to look forward to, I guess, to still be competing. I set a goal that I will still be competing in something at 100. So that's
Yeah.
we'll see if I can pull that off or not. I got a ways to go. So
I love that, man. Well, all right, well, let's take another break here, and then we're going to do 9 questions so people can get to know you even a little deeper with the fun facts that I have ready for you. So let's take a quick break here, listen to a few of our community supporters. We'll be right back with Jay. Verseek Search and Consulting is thrilled to support Coalition 9 and this podcast, and we are just as excited to have them as a partner. Verseek is a Minnesota-based, high-performance recruiting firm that specializes in interim solutions, direct hire, and executive leadership search. Their team of experienced professionals and seasoned leaders across various areas of expertise and industries have been in your shoes. They quickly assess your whole company and identify key elements that will take your business to the next level. Your company's success hinges on the capacity of your people, and few areas of your business are more critical than your finance and accounting team. Your company's success hinges on the capacity of your people. Verseek can help connect you with the talented candidates within finance and accounting, along with other areas of expertise in executive search, direct hire, and interim solutions. People are the ultimate business advantage. Find your people together with Verseek and make the best possible for your business. Learn more and contact Verseek by visiting verseek.com and following them on LinkedIn. When you think of a typical CPA firm, you probably think of tax planning. Well, that just scratches the surface of what Boulay offers their clients. By providing smart, in-depth thinking from experts in accounting, audit, tax, and business consulting, they know what it takes to achieve financial success. Whether it's protecting your business, building your wealth, or securing your future, you can count on Boulay to go beyond addressing just financial matters and providing you with tailor-made, workable solutions. Learn about all they have to offer at boulaygroup.com. Boulay, helping you get there. United Healthcare is dedicated to helping people live healthier lives and making the health system work better for everyone by simplifying the healthcare experience, meeting consumer health and wellness needs, and sustaining trusted relationships with care providers. UHC is continually focused on building a modern, high-performing health system via improved access, affordability, outcomes, and experiences. With a network of over 1.6 million physicians and healthcare professionals and over 6,000 hospitals, United Healthcare is dedicated to connecting employers and their employees to better health by offering quality benefits designed for affordability. For more information, visit United Healthcare at www.uhc.com. United Healthcare, helping people live healthier lives. If you're anything like me, you know enough to be dangerous when it comes to finance, yet need some help when things get complicated. All-in-One Accounting provides the right financial expertise and leadership to align with your stage of growth. From outsourced accounting and bookkeeping to strategic financial planning, the team of accounting rock stars at All-in-One Accounting are passionate about positively impacting the businesses and lives of their clients. You need to check them out at allinoneaccounting.com. All-in-One Accounting, taking our clients from financial chaos to business clarity and beyond. If you're an entrepreneur or married to one, your journey is complex. You want financial advice that impacts your whole net worth, including your business, not just stock market investments. You also want a partner that quarterbacks the relationships between the CPA, estate planner, banker, and other trusted advisors. That's where the team at eWealth Partners comes in. We love helping you and your spouse design a financial plan that aligns and empowers you. A plan that addresses your concerns, priorities, and goals tailored to reach your long-term vision. A long-term vision that is worth the pursuit today. Visit ewealthpartners.com to learn how they can help couples like you. eWealth Partners, holistic financial planning for entrepreneurs. Investment advisor services offered through AdvisorNet Wealth Management. eWealth Partners and AdvisorNet Wealth Management are not affiliated. In addition to the community supporters you heard from on the show today, I also want to give a quick shout out to our evolving level community supporters, Carlson Partners, Fluid Interiors, Keystone Group International, Modern Foundation, and Rev Advisory Group. All right, we're back with Jay Anderson. I am pumped to have you do the 9 questions. Because this is your first podcast, I wanted to take a little bit easy, so I didn't want to freak you out. But my first question is, do you want to confirm to me that you have no idea what I'm about to ask you?
I have no clue. You said 9 questions, and I'm like, okay, I trust Aaron. Good dude. So
Yeah.
I'll trust you.
Let's do it. Rock and roll. All right. Question 1. What is the first album you ever purchased?
First album. It's funny. My dad called me. I called him yesterday, and he found some old Kiss albums. So I'm going to go with some, I don't know which one, but some, and I'm excited to see him. He found them when he was cleaning out his house. So some Kiss albums.
Are you are you still a Kiss fan?
I am actually. I went and saw him in concert a few years ago. So
yeah,
one of their,
all right.
I love. They might still be going, but they keep saying this is the last one, right? And they do one more. So,
yeah, you got to hang out with Darren Lynch from Irish Titan. He's the biggest Kiss fan I've ever met. And
all right,
yeah, I'll introduce you to, and and you should know each other anyway. All right. What are 3 words that describe you?
3 words. Probably resilient, grit, and hardworking.
Yeah. Shocker with your telling your story. So I would agree with those. What is the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Oh, I think of this pepper I had in Mexico because I had no idea what I was doing. I was in Cancun and decided to go to a locals restaurant, which was a mistake. And I ordered some pepper, and I got 2 of them. The first one I managed to eat. The second one, I couldn't survive it. I didn't know what was going on. So it's not that unique, but I have to say that pepper because I don't know what it was, but I couldn't handle it. So
right, some kind of ghost pepper or something like that.
Something I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to know. I'm done.
Yeah, that can flip you. That can flip you upside down. All right. One of my would you rather questions. Would you rather have noisy neighbors or nosy neighbors?
Correct. Oh man, I would say noisy because I think I would find a way to quiet them down somehow. Nosy, I don't know. I guess just that boundaries you push away, but I'll go with the noisy. So,
all right.
I'm going to go with no neighbors because that's what I prefer. But
there's not a third option, but I'm with you on that one. You and I agree with that. But yeah. All right, good. What is one quality in a person that impresses you?
Probably honesty. Just their values, right? Doing the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that which is interesting about that is that it has nothing to do with about what they say. It's about how they act.
Yeah, but you're speaking so loudly I can't hear what you're saying through your actions, right? So
yeah, right. Right.
Yep.
Yep. If I were to ask your best friend what you're known for, what would that person say?
My best friend. Probably work ethic. I think that's where it would go.
Yeah. Nothing crazy.
I don't think so. No, they might think I'm crazy with the mountain biking I do, and I wouldn't blame them for that. So,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Would you rather be able to breathe underwater or fly?
I think I would fly. I think I would fly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you, you meet, I talk to people and stuff like that, and they love the water. That's like the water invigorates them and stuff like that. And, personally me, I'm with you on the fly thing because the deep water scares the shit out of me. So, where are you at in that whole thing?
Yeah, deep water here too. I struggle in the water. And I think at some point in my life, I'll do a triathlon just so I can do it because I suck at swimming. I'm like the worst swimmer ever. My son's great. And a while back I did CrossFit competitions, and it was right before COVID, so it got canceled, but there was a swimming event at once. So I took my son to actually, some free training, right? And he looked at me and he said, Dad, he says, when I look at you, you're like just working hard. And then I back up and look at the whole pool and you're barely moving. He says, I don't know how you're going to do this swimming in a competition. So I was pretty pathetic. So
you gotta work at it, right?
Oh, there's a lot of work ahead of me if I enter a swimming event.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, well, you're stronger than I am. All right. If you could have dinner with 2 people, one dead and one alive, who would those 2 people be?
Well, I'll go with Jesus Christ for dead because I think I would call him a person, right? I'll go with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Living. I don't know why, but Matthew McConaughey pops up in my head. I'm not a big Hollywood person at all, but he seems a little different. So, you know what? I'm going to retract it. I know. I'm sorry. David Goggins. Took me a second there to get around. Yep, Goggins for sure. Yep.
And that doesn't surprise me a hot second that you like David Goggins stuff. Like that dude is an intense guy, and I can see that stuff getting you excited. So I'm a David Goggins fan as well, but I can see that. That would be a very interesting. I'd like to be a fly on the wall in that space when you 3 are having dinner, because I can imagine the conversations that would go on. Yeah. All right. How do you, this is the final question. So, you've survived quite a ways. Yeah. So how do you define success?
I would say that is someone meeting their goals, right? It's that simple, right? Everybody's at a different point in life and has different ideas and thoughts, and along with that, different goals. So I think it's I'm not here to judge someone else. I can't say whether you're successful or not, Aaron. I believe you're successful. You've done a lot of great things and helped a lot of great people, but that's really for you to decide. But if I were to say one thing out of that, though, I would say, kind of recap it there. If I see someone helping a lot of other people, that's success right there. That is one thing I could evaluate. But who am I to judge someone else, right? It's really self-determined. So.
All right. Good answer. You survived, man. Like this is
all right.
And we're wrapping up the podcast here. So for one of the things I absolutely love to do, and the whole reason I do this thing, is to be able to amplify you, and your journey has been fantastic. And the 9 questions gave us a little bit of a glimpse into your personality and stuff. But I want people to be able to reach out to you if they want to get to know you. And obviously if they want to come and work with you because you're looking for people, that would be great. If they want to do business with you, that would be even better. So how can people get to know you?
Absolutely. I think probably the easiest way is just find me on LinkedIn. I can throw an email, phone number out there. It's probably not going to stick, but yeah, go to LinkedIn. It's Jay Anderson and Dock and Door Tech. And I'm active enough on there. I'm not on there every day, but I'm active enough where I wouldn't miss a message or a request. So
cool. And then what I'll do is anybody who's listening or watching this either on one of our podcast channels or our YouTube channel, I'm going to list his LinkedIn profile, so you can just hot link that and click that and go right to Jay, and then send him a direct message and like him and follow him and all that other stuff. And I'll tell you, man, it's been so great getting to know you over the last couple of years. We were introduced by a mutual friend, and you took a chance on me, and I appreciate you being a big part of this community that we're building together. And you've got a great group, and it's rock solid, and that's what I love seeing is you guys all flourish together and learn from one another, and it's obviously having an impact on you, and that's what I love more than anything. So thank you so much for being a part of our community, man.
you bet. Hey, thanks for having me, and a shout out to my peer group. It's a great group. I really look forward to our meetings every month, and occasionally we get some text messages going, and it excites me too. It's like someone's either hit an obstacle or celebrating success, and it's nice to do that, to go through that journey with everybody.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, on behalf of Jay, this has been the Power of 9 podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Eggert, and I want to thank you for the privilege of your time.